Hi, everybody. I'm Jay Croft. I'll be moderating this session. We have a couple minutes before it's time to get started. Our man of the hour is here, and we're going to wait just a few minutes and let everybody start, get in before we start at 11:30. Glad you're here. Hope everyone's having a great summit so far. Hi, Sumit. How are you? Oh, I need to unmute you, don't I? Let's see. Celia, are you here?
Yep, I'm here. Sumit, just go ahead and hit the unmute button there in the left-hand corner if you see it.
All right.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Sumit or anybody, can you hear me? I'm Chris Hendren.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. I'm trying to figure out how to get a picture of me instead of just my name here. I know you can probably, I could start my video and you can look at my lovely face, morning face, but I would rather put a picture of me up there that's a lot more attractive. Does anyone know how to do that? Like this Anthony has, and
yeah, I think you have to go to your profile in Zoom, probably. I don't remember, but that's my guess. Go to a profile and upload a photo there.
okay.
Celia, can you hear me okay? Is the mic okay? Like,
Yep, I can hear you perfectly. Sounds
yeah, that's
good.
always an issue. You never know, right? With these Zoom things.
Yep, you sound good.
Sweet. Hey, Jay.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, man.
Huh?
Everything good, man.
Good. This is gonna be great.
Yeah. So Chris, I overheard you. You know what? I'm all about authenticity. So I would rather see your lovely face, but
Oh. Okay. You asked for it.
yep.
There I am.
Well, there you are.
Perfect.
Good morning. What the heck are you talking about? You look great.
Yeah.
You should have seen me when I woke up this morning. Not good. Never is, frankly. So you
right.
did great. Celia, do I need to grant Sumit power to share?
No, I think the way it would work is you give me permission and then I do it because you wouldn't know when to switch the slide and all.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yep, so you'll just click, there should be 3 little dots on Sumit's screen, and then you're going to grant him host permission.
Or maybe I won't. Let's see how that goes. I'm kidding. I'm going to make him co-host right now. Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Does it give you the option to make him full host? So that way he can, I think that'll give him navigation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that after the intro. How about that?
Okay, sounds good. All right, I am going to peace myself out. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Thanks, Celia. Well, we've got a nice group of people in this room. It's nice to see that.
I'm just going to think, how do I make this as a presentation?
On the view.
And slideshow. All right. How does it?
Okay, but first I get to introduce you.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so Sumit, let's see. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start, shall we? It's 11:30. We've got a lot of nice people in the room already. So everyone, please remember to mute yourself just to keep down on the noise. And if Sumit has Q&A at the end, we will ask you to unmute at that time. Okay, so this session is the business owner's paradox, how to work on your business while working in it. Running your business is a lot of work, so much so that it ends up owning you sometimes and leaves you feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and anxious, which is a far cry from the business you envisioned. So we're going to talk about how you can balance the big picture tasks with doing everything you need while building your dream business in the long term, one that gives you the freedom and the impact you sought. Sumit has 3 objectives for today. Number one, discover how to transition from being overwhelmed and burnt out to driving growth for your business. Number two, to learn time-tested principles and systems to achieve success. Number three, embrace new behaviors and attain the elusive freedom. Sumit is the co-founder of Nomly, a communication platform that helps gym owners build their dream businesses. Sumit is a strong believer in the power of human connections. And before starting Nomly, he successfully had built one of the fastest growing and largest staffing firms, growing it from $15 million to $100 million in revenues in less than 10 years by focusing on creating long-term relationships. He left that to focus on his health, reconnect with his family, and he found solace in fitness, which led him to start Nomly. And that is enough of me, and I am now delighted to present the one and only Sumit Smith.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate the tee off. So, guys, before I jump right into the presentation, just a little bit of the lay of the land. So, you know, things can go wary. We know that, right? The internet may go down. The voice might not come in. So I just wanted to say, if that happens, I have my iPhone on me. I'll switch on the hotspot. Just give me a minute if that happens. And then if that also doesn't do the trick, then, you know, Jay over here does have my slides, and worst case scenario, there'll be just pictures. So I don't know how much Jay can run with it, but.
Oh, you don't want to find out.
All right. Yeah, we don't want to find out, but just in case that happens, you know, things can get right. You know, so I just wanted to give that, give a heads up. The other thing is I will have blank screens in between, and that's when we want to take a pause. So instead of waiting for Q&A in the end, which we'll still do, I do want to interact with, you know, it's a small crowd. I would love to just get inputs and get clarifying questions in right there as we go through the meat of the presentation on certain key elements, and just learn from each other, right? So that's pretty much it. So now going forward, the big picture is, like Jay mentioned as he teed me off, you know, running your business is a lot of work, and you're donning multiple hats. Like you're the janitor, you're the coach, you're the manager, you're the CEO, and that's just on the business side. Forget along the hats that you wear on the personal side, which is husband, wife, spouse, mother, kid. And before you know it, that's a lot of hats that you're donning, and that kind of leaves you feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and anxious. And this is not the business that we had all envisioned when we started out, right? If anything, we end up becoming a prisoner to our own business, and the business owns us. In the old thing, when we were working for someone, it was a little bit better because at least you could call in sick and you could say, you know what, I'm going to take a day off. But when you're own boss, the funny thing is you're chasing that freedom, but you realize very quickly that, oh my God, the business has got me down, and I'm a prisoner to my own business, like I said. So what we're going to do is, like, the real topic over here is, how do we balance the big picture tasks? We know what we want to do. We know where we want to go. How do we balance that? Because when we get started, and we're all small businesses, the reality is that it's just you. The org chart is just you. There might be a couple of people that are helping you out, but at the end of the day, it's just you. So we need to make that transition, and that's what I'm going to talk about, and eventually get you the freedom and impact that we all sought to achieve when we quit our jobs and we started our business. Okay, fair enough. So I'll give you 3 pieces of information why I think these are relevant, and I'll try to piece this together as we go along. The first thing is, I started my US journey, if you will, in this beautiful place. It's in Washington, D.C. It's the Georgetown University of Medical Center. And, you know, this is where I did my administrative residency in hospital and healthcare management. And I'm from India, if you've not made that out by now. And I came here on scholarships and charitable grants. And that time, my singular goal was somehow come to this land of opportunities, just come to this prestigious university. And I was doing anything and everything I could to just get here. So I get here, and you know, after that, once I graduated, the next goal became, hey, how do I find a good job? And I was blessed to start working for some of the biggest hospitals in the nation, starting with Henry Ford Health Systems. And from there on, I went to AmeriChoice, which is into Medicaid, Medicare. Then I started working for Optum, which is their IT wing of the behemoth United Health Group. And just to give something in perspective, at that time, I was making about $40,000 a year in salary. And so it was a big leap from coming from charitable grants and scholarships to Georgetown to now I had a job where I was making 40,000. But hey, who's satisfied? None of us are, right? So, and the situation gets aggravated when what hit me was that I could hire project managers and other business leaders and IT staff for 2 times, 3 times, even 3.5 times the money that I was making, because I was responsible for the P&L. And then it hit me as like, why the hell am I doing this for somebody else? Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. Life is not fair. And to add more salt to the wounds, I found out as time goes by, the master agreements about how much were we getting paid by our clients eventually for the people that I was paying $100,000, $140,000, $150,000. And they were paying $100 an hour to $125 an hour. I'm like, that is an insane business. Like, I can do this myself, right? So I did what all of us do. I'm like, I'm good for this. I have the skills. I'm going to do this on myself. So, and that's exactly what I did. I joined my hands with my friends on a staffing firm. And this was back in 2005. And the commonality is, what we do is, my wife was working at that time. We got married, and there was no more salary now. So even that 40,000, which I started with, and by that time I'd grown to about 65 in the next 5 years. So that was pretty phenomenal growth from those standards, but it was like, I wanted more. And come 2005, I now joined my friends, but now there was no salary, and we were working round the clock. I was working round the clock. But the thing was, I was happy. This is my freedom. You know, you start off with twinkle in your eyes. You're like, I'm going to work this. I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm going to make it big. But it starts hitting you very, very quickly that you can't, because you're just in the business too much, and you're working everything, just connecting the dots back in. And I think that's the story I find with most trainers is we're doing everything. And it hit me because I started reading a lot of books. I started going out to a lot of Vistage masterminds and what have you. Just sometimes you find the right resource, the resource finds you. I don't know how the universe opens up, but it does. And the realization was, I need to broaden my horizons. And the more I did that, then something magical started happening. And what that was, from 2005 to I want to say 2015, when I exited that business, we started growing like crazy, right? We were doing 2,000 people is what we grew up to in 10 years time. And that amounted to like 40% year-on-year growth. And we were in the Inc. 5,000 8 times in a row. We were recognized as the fastest growing US staffing firm. 3 years in a row, we started being recognized as one of the largest staffing firms. And now we had offices in US, Canada, India, and I was living the dream from the outside. And this was great. I mean, I was having a ball, right? But the relevant portion why I wanted to give that much of context behind this was, it made me realize that, you know, every time the goal is to conquer that next hill, right? First time around, the hill was, I just want to come to the land of opportunities. The next was, when I got there, your horizons get a little bit broader. You start seeing what's over the horizon, and you're not thinking, you know what, I need to do more. I can do more. I'm ready to do this. And your vision starts expanding. And you see there's a bigger world out there that you don't even comprehend what we can accomplish. So the point that I'm trying to really draw upon is really beautifully summed up by one of my favorite movie stars. And in other words, this really is saying is, you gotta level up. You got to evolve. And that's the intent. That's the idea. How do we evolve from being very much still in the trenches, because it is our baby, and if we get away from it, it will fall. But knowing that that's not the way we want it to be working all the time is where you start making the transition. So over the next half an hour or so, what I'm going to now do is focus on the strategies, the techniques, and the tactics, and challenge you to start thinking in the direction of where to make the start. And these are some of the very same things I did for my own business, which took me from making no salary to having a very successful exit. I'll share the story why I eventually decided to leave some other day, but so that's the intent. And it all starts with the first and most important principle of all of this is you need to get clarity about where you want to go. So if you have clarity, that's the singular most important thing that you need to put down and chase and say, this is my goal, this is my objective, this is where I want to be. If you are where you are and you're happy, well, then everything else trumps happiness, right? Like if you're happy, then all of this is bogus. It doesn't make anything. But if you're not happy and you're like, I want to be somewhere else, you need to get clarity about that. And thereafter, it's pretty simple, because if you have clarity, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, right? And that's exactly what I did in my business too. We started putting out lofty goals on spreadsheets. We didn't know how we'll get there, but hey, if you're dreaming, you might as well dream big. And so we dreamt big. And the funny thing is it all came and became a reality. So I'm going to take a pause here. This is one of those blank slides that I was talking about. And I would invite the participants to start putting out in chat the one thing that you want to accomplish with your business. Just put it down. Like, what's your goal? And I know this is not a workshop, but my idea is to spark that curiosity and spark you to start taking notes, because no one's going to get back to it later on. I know that. So let's make the most of this. So I'll take a minute break. I'm going to put on my timer and then go from there. Cool? This is one of the problems with Zoom. You don't hear back the cool response, but okay. I take that as a thumbs up. Jay, are we getting anything?
Not, oh, here we go. Anthony M has a question. He says he'd like to get the LLC up and running. He has a good job, but is looking to make a move on his own.
That's awesome. Cool. Let's keep them coming, Anthony. I mean, and Chris and Dolly and Anita. So forge more partnerships. Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. I'm going to give it 20 more seconds for our minute to be up. More members. Okay. Okay. I'm going to lap this out. So here's the thing, guys. These are all really good things. I would challenge you to go back and make it more specific. More members. I get it, Dolly, but what does more members mean to you? So you have to be very, very, very clear. I want to help more people. What does that mean to you, Chris? Forge more partnerships. Is it one? Is it two? What's the it? And the most important thing, the one thing that, and I'm guilty of this too, that I missed out doing this on my own was, if I can get this, oh God, okay, I have to get out of chat and go back to my presentation, is the time element. So we put down our goals, which we all did, right? And I did the same, but I never put down when I want to get to those goals. So the one thing that I would advise all of you to put down is add a timeline and make it ultra specific about where I want to be at what point in time. That alone will cause monumental shifts in the business, monumental shifts in your own way of working and approaching things. And I'll tell you why. I'll come to it. And this quote is, I'm a very quote-centric guy. I love this because it's the one thing that we all get in common. And how we all manage this one thing is really where the transformation starts happening. So how do we go about doing this? Over the next, I want to say 5-7 minutes, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on time management. And because that's the singular most currency, that's the most important currency that we all have, is how do I get started? Well, do a time audit. Do a time audit, guys. Take a good 2 weeks and list down everything you do in your business today. Everything, whether it's cleaning, whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's outreach to members, whether it's customer service, whether it's running that credit card, whatever it is, write down every single thing and put down the time that you spend on it, right? So and in other words, in the trainer lingo, this is no different than you doing an assessment. We're just doing an assessment of figuring out where are we, and so we can say, okay, this is where we stand today, and we already know the goal that we want to achieve, which is our clarity angle, and then we go from there. So that's technique number one. Technique number two is, once you know that, this is Benjamin Franklin's schedule, and I would love for you to draw out your own schedule like this. And you can see, and Benjamin Franklin, when he did this in the late 1700s, his schedule was like this. And what you'll realize as you go about doing making your own schedule is there's this concept of lock up time. So that is time that you can't run away from. Sleep. I mean, you got to sleep. Yes, you can cut back a little bit, but you got to sleep. You got to make food, eat food. You got to commute to your work. You need to do those elements and things to just run your life. So those are lockup times. You just can't do anything about those. You can probably chop off a little bit, bring in efficiencies, but I'm looking for big buckets of stuff that we want to be able to do. Once we do that, then you kind of make your own sheet and you color code them, right? You say all blues are my lockup time. And now you really look at the yellows, which is, I can do something with this. There is this opportunity now that I have to free up my time to do something. I would even invite you, like Benjamin Franklin, unlike Benjamin Franklin, where he said 8 to 12 is all work. I would invite you to go down on that granular level and say training, programming, cleaning. And what we're really trying to do is, big picture is, we're trying to then look at these tasks and say, do I want to do them? Do I not want to do that? It's as simple as that. I like to divide them. What I did with my business was I divided them into 3 elements. That's why you have 3 stickies there. And the way we did on our side was those 3 stickies kind of, I'll come to what those 3 stickies are and what's the way of dividing them. But big picture, when you go in and you start looking at those 3 tasks that we have for Benjamin Franklin as an example, you start finding that 5 to 7:15 window. I'm going to go back just so that I can make this. You see how we had 5 to 5:10 rise and address, 5:10 to 5:30 wash, 5:30 to 7:15, and it was broken out like. And now look at what we did in the next set. We further looked at this and say, we started breaking it out further and getting more and more granular with things. 7:30 to 9:45, I have all of this. I like music, I like diversion, I like conversations, but what can I do more with it? I have to get this chat window out 1 second. So yeah, what can I do more with it? You realize these are my free time. And now this time that I'm opening up is to really work on your business. This is my CEO time that I'm going to start opening up. So obviously the next question is, well, what about the tasks that we had? Someone has to do those. Like, no one is going to come in and magically do those on your own. And that's where those 3 stickies come into picture. So those 3 stickies basically are, oh, come on, hold on, is D for delegate, E for eliminate, and A for automate. And if you don't do any of those 3 things, well, the writing's on the wall. So that's how you want to think about it. And that's how you want to absorb this in and say, this is what I'm going to do on a go forward basis. Now, how do you decide what tasks to delegate, what tasks to automate, what tasks to eliminate is something that I'll cover subsequently down. But that's technique number 2. So make your schedule, go down, find your free time, there is no free time. You got to replace the stuff that you're doing with the CEO time, and that's working on your business. That's what I'm trying to get at. Tactic number 3 is weekly plan. So what you did with the day, now do it for the week and color code it. Like I color code my calendar. I have green for outreach sales activities. I have red for personal, like that's my rock. I need to do that. Blue for customer service, what have you. You have your own system in a way. This is your system. You just figure out a way to doing it and do what works best for you. So that's the other tactic that I'm talking about. Now, for the CEO work, the best thing that's worked for me, it's hit and trial. Different people have different ways of going about doing things. Is before you go to bed, list down every single task that comes to your mind. And suddenly what will happen is a lot of tasks will flood your head. And remember, you only have that 1 hour of free time or 30 minutes or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. As long as consistently you put in that time, things will start shifting. So you list down all your tasks, you do a mental dump, and before you go to bed, you'll say, I'm going to do only one thing tomorrow. And you've heard this, I'm sure you've read this in books and you've heard other people talk about it. It's like, that's eating the frog. So when I get up first thing in the morning or whenever is my CEO time, some people are night birds, night owls. Some people are early morning people. And some people just adapt based off of the circumstances, clients not coming in, a trainer calls in sick or what have you, a fire lights up. So you have some flexibility, but big picture, you list down and say, I'm going to eat that frog. Now, the first time I did this exercise, my initial version was really like this. I'm like, eat the frog. You don't get it. I'm different. All my tasks are important. Every single task of mine is important. And they are. They really are. But then I got introduced to this next concept that I want to bring in, which is the concept of prioritization. So what you're looking to do with all these frogs or all these tasks is you're trying to find that one purple frog, the one if you consume that frog, it will move the needle for you. And the idea is not to do more, but you got to approach it from the perspective that you can do only one and only one. If you struggle with it or you really, find your back against the wall about this, no more than two frogs, but that's where you draw the line. So the idea is sometimes it might be sales oriented. Sometimes it might be filing taxes because that's deadline oriented. Or sometimes you just need to take a decision and that could span across 3 days. Like I need to fire somebody. What do I do about that? So the point is day to day, you start making that shift where you're saying, I'm putting on my CEO hat. This is my CEO time. And I'm just going to swallow that purple frog, eat that purple frog, and take that decision. The most important thing is to take that decision. So that's the intent, guys. Now I'm going to take a break here, take a pause here, because there's a lot of techniques that we covered in a very short period of time on just time management. Just to recap: time audit, weekly plan, eat the frog, delegate, eliminate, automate, make your schedule like Benjamin Franklin. So there's a lot of stuff. Take a minute break here, take a minute pause here. Any questions for me? Any thoughts, any things that coming up in your mind? What will you guys do listening to this? Or do you have any other techniques that you've tried and that's worked for you? Chris. I love that. I love that.
Did you want me to respond?
Yes, please, Chris, go for it.
I guess the things that came to mind is the list becomes very long. Like you said, you get a brain dump. There is some clarity in the morning because I've done this sort of thing before. But what often happens to me is distraction, or I guess distraction. You get started perhaps on that task which you need to do, and then you realize that, oh, before I can actually get that task done, I need to do this other task.
Yep.
Or, so you get distracted, and I get off on tangents oftentimes. And I just find it difficult sometimes to stay on task. And I don't consider myself ADD or anything like that. It's just that there's just always so much more to do in one task. There's multiple things to do.
You're absolutely right, Chris. And that's the beauty of this. I think it's a learning process. I wish I could tell you that I've mastered it. I haven't. I have my diary here, which you can't see, but I'm supposed to write one task. And there are days when I do write one task, and that's the only thing I'm going to focus on. But there are days when I don't. But the idea is you got to tell yourself just one thing or two things, like I said, and just circle them and not worry about all the stuff that's not getting done, but take joy and celebrate about the one that you are getting done. And you're giving your full attention and focus to, and saying, you know what? Because we beat ourselves down, and you don't need to. There's a lot of cynicism in the world. There are a lot of people out there who will beat you down. You don't need to beat yourself down. You got to look how far you've come and say, I've come a long way. I'm doing good. I did one thing that's just made my day. So you got an idea is just do one thing or two things, and then that's it. That's your CEO time. I'm going to do this. And I know it's easier said than done. I get that. And that's where repetitions help. It's no different. It's reps and sets. It's reps and sets. You keep doing it. And before long, you'll get a hang of it.
Yeah,
so
you're going back to your clarity about where you want to be. And one comment you made was, if you're happy where you are now, then there's no problem.
right.
And there are points at which I am very happy. And then there's other times where, like I said in the comment, I'm like, well, I am happy doing what I'm doing, but I could be doing more. I could be helping more people. And so could I be happier? And it's not as much a thing of making money as it is that there's so much opportunity out there. There's so many people that need help or education or understanding or compassion or whatever it is, that you just feel like you need to do more because there's so much that needs to be done.
Yeah. Sometimes more is good. And sometimes the anti thing is less is more is also there. And I think, you brought in a point about money. I see this, you guys need to realize you're truly front side of healthcare. You're like the frontline workers of healthcare. And it's okay to make money, because we say, oh no, we're doing it for a good reason, for all the compassion, empathy, I want to help. Well, you can help more people if you have more money, because it's okay to charge. It's absolutely fine for people to have a skin in the game, because money does very good things in terms of being able to have a bigger, wider net. So I just put it over there, but that's true, Anthony. I love what Anthony just said. And even what Jen Ritchie, AKA Jay, said about how to concentrate, basically how to focus in. So I'm going to keep going forward, but that was the idea that I wanted to dive in on, is less is more. Do a time audit, do a check, and then basically clear up your head to say, I want to start working on my business. I'm going to open up CEO time where I'm genuinely working on the business. And now I just said yes or no to these tasks. And I'll talk about how do we decide that? So the way we go about deciding that is, like I said, okay, let me shut off chat. Somehow yeah. So the way to know that is the next most important thing is, and this will hit home with you a little bit, Chris, is self-awareness. You really need to know about yourself. Who are you deep within? Not the mask we wear to come in front of people, but who are we deep within? Once you get self-awareness in, then it's very simple to say, okay, now let me take a look at my tasks and see which one I like. Well, I love these things. I love to do this. I love to hang out with people. I'm an introvert. I do not like doing that. Like, I don't like interacting the way I am on a Zoom call like this, but I'll come to that in a bit. So you're like, but there is one exception. Even if you like tasks, there's always an exception, right? The exception is you cannot, for the love of me, be doing $10 tasks. You cannot be doing minimal wage tasks. So when you opened up your free time, you're basically going to replace, the way you're deciding that is, do I like this? I'm going to keep this. That's your first set. The next set is, oh, I like this, but it is from a value perspective, not too good. I have to get out of it. I have to go the DEA way, the dead way, delegate, eliminate, or automate, right? Now, the next thing is cost. And I couldn't say, I mean, we're all small businesses. Money is a big factor. So, but there are two primary costs. One, as we've all discovered and we know about, is money. But the other, which is even more valuable than money, is your time. Because the funny thing is, time is the one thing that will never, ever come back, right? So you just basically decide on these tasks now, can I afford right now to bring on an outsourced agency or do something with this? And maybe not, because the money is not there. Well, then you just got to suck it up and invest in yourself and do it. So you got to make that cost benefit analysis, if you will. And then, of course, there's some tasks like this holy grail thing, which, too bad. You are the business and you are the only one who can do this. And in my business now, it's like, I need to do more of these presentations. I need to get out and interact with people, though that's not me as a person. I don't take a lot of joy in those. I take a lot of joy in sitting together and interacting, but there are some things that you just know that only you can do in the business. The only downside would be if you have a partner and then you can divide and conquer. But so that's how you go about deciding. There is one more element. So we talked about delegate, eliminate, or automate. This is all about delegating or automating. What we've not talked about is eliminating, which could be as simple as sacrificing. I am not going to be like, so now I have an agreement with my wife. This is sad, but in a way it's okay. Is like, I did not go to my kids' graduation, 4th grade, 5th grade, but that's okay. I'm there for other things. So you pick your battles. So that's the sacrifice, because we all need to still work on our business. For others to pick up. Okay. And once you've done that, then it's your business and no one will do it the way you will. We all get that. So, but when I say documentation, I'm sure this is the picture that comes to your mind. You're like, I need to document everything. I have to, and there's going to be stacks and stacks of documents. And this is not what I mean. When I say documentation, I'm really talking about simple. Keep it super simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it stupid, simple. The KISS acronym really works. It's either workflows, it's checklists, it's simple things. So now you know exactly what you need to do, or what you do from that task perspective. And in today's technology era, you can take audio messages. You can make audio messages. Better still, you can have Zoom or Slack and you can video record. And this is how I do this. And why you're doing all of that is, the idea is, so now you know what your standard operating procedure is. This is the way I run my business. It's no longer Sumit running his way or Chris running hers. This is the business, the way the business is run. Now, so this is your process. And the most important thing is we're all guilty, I'm guilty of writing things down and then just used to put it aside. And we don't leverage technology enough. Google Drive works perfect. The idea is not to document for the sake of documentation. The idea is to document so you can retrieve it and you can work on it and you can add things to it. And it's a working document. So anytime a query comes in now, I go to my document and say, can I just follow the document, the flow, and answer the question? So now what you're doing is, without you realizing, your $30 task, your $50 task, you're now kind of streamlining it and you're making a process. It's a workflow. This comes in, do this next, do this next, do this next. And ever so often, you will now be presented with a new scenario that has not ever happened in your business. Like a credit card gets declined. It's the first time. Like, I don't know what to do now. Well, you figure it out. As entrepreneurs, we figure it out. But once we figure it out, we put it into this document. And then the next time we follow that process. And that's what you're really trying to do all along. So again, I'm going to take a break here on documentation. Any questions, anything here that you want to talk about? Any thoughts that are coming in? Just a 1 minute lap. I say lap because I have my iPhone on, but just a 1 minute break, guys. Any questions on this element of documenting your standard operating procedures? Okay, looks like I've worn out everybody. No one's got anything. Like nothing. No questions, no thoughts. Are we doing this in our business today? Tough crowd. I can't even get a yes or a no. Come on, Nicole. I see you writing stuff down. You can say something. Okay. So the minute's gone. I'll carry on. Oh God. Okay. So once you've documented everything, now what you're really doing is you're hiring a team. And this is going back. Well, I did get a chat this thing. This is awesome. So, so you hire a team, and that team could be a virtual assistant for the $10 tasks. It could be one of your trainers that you're like, hey, I'm going to give you more stuff to do, and I'm going to open up my free time. Remember, you're trying to replace your calendar with the CEO time, or it's an outsourced agency if you can afford it, depending on where you are in your business and where you want to be and how quickly you want to get there. So that's why time is so critical. Like, it's not just, I want to be there someday. I want to be there by that time. That decides how much momentum you need and how much help you need. Now, as you hire your team, since I had a staffing firm, this is a very dear topic to me, but I won't spend too much time on this. What you're really hiring for is values and the attitude and the intrinsic characteristics that are needed to be successful on that job. It's okay if you don't like the person, or if he's not an extrovert, or if he's an introvert, it's okay. You're trying to match the foundational skills, the fundamental skills, the value alignment with the day-to-day working things that that person would be doing. And more often than not, from my experience, I found is people with complementary skills are the best teams out there. There has to be a little bit of an overlap because you want to be able to fill in for each other, but complementary skills are the way to go. Excuse me. And this is an interesting concept that I picked up recently, which is the concept of a river versus a pond. So remember, flowing, it has energy, it has dynamism to it. And the reality is that is how most of your staff, as well as your outsourced team is going to be, because they're going to come and they're going to go. You, on the other hand, guys, we as business owners, unfortunately or fortunately, are the pawns. We are going to be here. We're just going to be here. So there is a disadvantage of a pawn, though. The pawn's disadvantage is, anybody? I just want to know if people are still listening. Can anyone put down on the chat what you think the pawn's disadvantage is? Okay, I got a couple. Let's see. You're stuck, stagnation, beautiful, beautiful. All of these are absolutely spot on. You stagnate because standing water gains moss, right? Or something of that sort. So what you're really trying to do is you need to go out and fill your cup. And you guys are here, you guys are interacting. And that's a beautiful thing I found about the trainer community is everyone is so curious to learn, to understand. Like you read books, you stand out, you stay up late nights, just interacting, discussing, and opening your hearts out and sharing what things that work for you. I'm part of a lot of Facebook forums and groups, Jay's group, and people just voluntarily share. They say, this is what I'm doing. You should try this. And that's beautiful. Like, like back when we had our staffing company, we didn't do some of that initially because I came from a very scarcity mindset. And that's the other thing. You got to change the mindset to have an abundant mindset. And you already have that. But so that's what I want to say. So the pawn thing is spot on. So just know trainers will come and trainers will go. And that's why the documentation, your standard operating procedures are so important, because then you follow that. People will come, you get them replaced. The processes will get better. And ever so often, once a quarter, once a year, depending on, again, where you are in your business, it depends. You decide, I'm going to revamp this, take a look at it. Okay. So once you've done all of this, now you've outsourced things, you got a team in place, you're working towards it, you know where you want to go. Oh gosh. The next thing you want to do is you want to measure. You want to measure success because you've already put down where you want to go, and you've put down where you want to go, by what time you want to get there. Now you're just measuring, and you're measuring success. And I want to make the distinction over here between measuring metrics and measuring KPIs, two separate things altogether. And the best way I can explain this is you want to measure as much as you can, Facebook likes, Facebook followers, but does that really matter? What you're really looking at is KPI. So I picked up this to kind of connect a little bit better is this in-body report. So people, those of you who've had an in-body scan done, look at the amount of stuff they're measuring. They're bloody measuring every single thing. Segmental lean analysis, right arm, percentage, pound, body composition, history, everything is being measured. But the KPI over here really is percent body fat, the ones that are circled in. So that's a distinction between measuring for metrics and measuring for KPIs. Like look at your KPIs, and then in the long run, the bottom section of the in-body scan, it's the trends. Are we going in the right direction?
Sumit, what is a KPI?
Key performance indicator. Okay, I'm sorry. And once you're doing that, then what you do is, as you're measuring and you're looking at it, you reflect. You want to sit down. Again, this is your CEO time, and it's just not about doing, but it's about thinking. The beautiful thing is, the more free you become, the more the business will start growing and growing like a snowball effect. And I'm a living proof of that. Trust me, guys, when we started with that 40,000 salary, like 60 was like all I could imagine. Then I got my graduation happening and I started getting my first job and exposure. I was like 100,000, then like 200,000. So what happens is, and when you start you got to open your mind, essentially, is what I'm trying to drive at. But you reflect, you think, and you course correct. If you're not headed in the right direction, it's so simple. You just course correct. So the beautiful thing is, and like I was telling you, Chris, earlier on this thing, as you're going about doing this, there will always be the peaks and valleys, but you want to take some time out to celebrate. You got to celebrate the wins, because it's a lonely road. It's a long road. It's a fun road once you start having those wins, but you got to devour those wins so you can get ready for the next hill to climb, if you will, right? So that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm gonna recap here really quick, because we covered a lot of stuff, and I'm gonna take just another minute here and ask you guys, like, are there stuff that stood out more to you? And we're gonna cover this in the recap, but what are 1 or 2 or 3 things that you feel that you would be doing going back from this session, this discussion, this interaction, that you would want to do on your business? Like, what's your big key takeaway?
For me, I wrote it in the chat. I would like to hire someone who would help me with social media. I need help with my videos, making adjustments on my website. I need help with Facebook posts and finding places to connect with people, so that I can, talk to them. I've got a book that, I'd like to get it out there. And, I'm good once I'm with people, and I'm good at designing programs. But the administrative, I'm okay at administrative stuff even, but I just don't like dealing with the social media stuff. So if you have suggestions on how to find people that are good, that are not expensive, how do you do that? Thank you.
All right, cool. So hiring, I get it. So the thing is, you're following the dead concept, if you will. Like, I'm going to delegate, eliminate, or automate, and I'm going to hire a team outside. Got it. How do I get to that team? You're in the right place. You're surrounded by people who can tell you more about that, where to go. You're part of this, groups, and Jay over here does a lot of those stuff as well, right, Jay? So you could probably reach out to Chris behind this. So that's one. What else, guys? What else is the big takeaway for you from all the stuff that we covered in a very short period of time? And I understand Chris and even Michael's, this thing is the hiring part, or delegating the task part. What else? Okay, that's a good one, Anita. That's it. That's the big takeaway. Just hire someone else. That's it.
No. Okay, I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to intrude on your space and everyone's time. But come to my session today at 3 o'clock. We're going to talk about content. As you can see over my left shoulder, my business is called Prime Fit Content, and I provide content for gyms and trainers and studios that want to reach older people in our demographic.
Okay.
So it's for Facebook, your email newsletters, all your social media, your blog, all that kind of thing. So I don't want to hog the Sumit session too much, but I would love to talk to, to Chris, to Michael, to anyone who wants to talk about your content and your social media and that kind of thing. Let me know. Thanks.
Cool.
And Sumit, you have 10 minutes.
Yep, that's good. I love it. I love the time study, Francine, and figure out what to do, DE or A. Grapevine Parks. I don't know who the name is, but that's nice. Okay. Anything else? So I'll since I have 10 minutes, I'll take the next few to recap here. So the first thing is get clarity, guys. Where do I want to be by what point in time, and be as specific as possible. Next thing is manage your time, do time management, and do time management in accordance with self-awareness. Know what rocks your boat, know who you are. Once you know that, start documenting your processes, put systems in place, hire a team, measure success, course correct if it's not going according to the plans and the way, or headed in the right direction, and then celebrate the wins. So that's the way you want to go about doing this, in terms of, that's really the gist of this entire presentation. And that's how you go about building and working on your business, and start coming out of it from a day-to-day perspective. And over a period of time, you'll find that the CEO time starts expanding and taking up more of the calendar, which is where you want to be. And that's the goal. Now, the thing that I will say is, it may sound a lot of work, but the reality is that you guys are all master coaches. And the reality is, you genuinely change lives. You've mastered hundreds of techniques. Like, I have a personal trainer, and I'm like, hey, my traps hurts. He gives me a different exercise. I'm like, this is not working. He gives me a different exercise. So the funny thing is, you're already applying all of these pieces that I spewed at you to help get your clients results. You just now need to apply it in a different manner on your own business, basically. And it's not easy, but it's very simple. I can tell you that, being a living proof of that. It's very, very simple. And you've already defied all the odds. You plunged into entrepreneurship. You left all jobs. You took it up. You now have a career in fitness. And trust me when I say this, and that's the other story some other day. Fitness truly is the healthcare of the future. Like, for the longest time, because of my background, I used to think mainstream healthcare is healthcare, but that's really sick care and that's really disease care. I know for a fact that fitness is healthcare now. And that's the idea, guys. Like, that's what you want to be at. So I just wanted to thank you all for your time, your attention, and your interactions today. That's my email ID. And, like Jay mentioned, we're a communication platform. We help in simplifying your follow-up system. So I fall in that category of DEA. So if you want to eliminate your time and replace your time, open up your time, and you want to eliminate some things or delegate some things, then, you may want to give us a shout. You may want to look at us. And yeah, that's the QR code. If you put your phone up to it, it'll open it up. Well, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate the comment. So any other things? We have 5 minutes, guys. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Any other final things that come to your mind?
I have a thought. Just I appreciated hearing you talk about systematizing everything. That's something I struggle with as an entrepreneur, and it's something that all of my clients struggle with content, as a couple of you have mentioned during this. And it really helps to just create and rely on a system so that I don't feel like I'm winging it all the time. So thanks.
Cool. So how often does people end the session with 5 minutes to spare? Does that ever happen?
Sure.
All right. Okay. If you say so.
Of course.
Right.
I don't have 55 minutes prepared for my presentation this afternoon.
Well, I had a good crowd. They slept on me a little bit in between when I asked them. Nicole didn't come up with her points when she was called out, but that's okay. I'm not keeping a score. Yeah. All right. Okay, guys. Thanks again. Thanks for having me. It was fun. I hope you take some nuggets away and work on your business. And we need you to work on your business so you can spread the love and help other people succeed.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, Sumit. Thanks everyone for attending.
Sweet. Thank you. Do I leave now? Does that work? That's the way it goes?
Yeah, I'll close the meeting.
All right. Sweet, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Sumit. It was great.
Thanks, Chris.